I'm sure you're familiar with the saying, don't mix business with pleasure. But as a photographer, I like to do the complete opposite. Photography for me is not just a means of making a living, it's also something I'm very passionate about. And I've had many clients say that passion comes over through my photo shoots. Something else I've loved from an early age is motorcycling. So what can be better for me but combine those two passions? And in April 2019, I was fortunate enough to tick something off my bucket list. And that's to go on a motorcycle trip to the Scottish Highlands on this, my Suzuki GSX-S 750. My way of relaxing over the last few years is having days out riding with my biking buddies, Liska, Harley Dave and my daughter Melissa, who loves to ride pillion. I also love attending biking events, including the British Superbikes, and of course I love taking my camera with me. I practice shooting high-speed action and motorcycle lifestyle photography whenever I get the chance. As I shoot what I love, I was hoping I would one day be able to add a motorcycle brand to my list of clients. Fortunately for me, all my practicing has paid off. I'm very pleased to be working with Hideout Leather, who manufacture bespoke motorcycle clothing, and also with Lings, Triumph Essex, who are a Triumph dealership in Great Dunmow. As well as creating lifestyle images for Hideout, I photographed their entire range of clothing for their new website, and had the pleasure to meet and photograph some of the riders they sponsor at different race events throughout the year, and mix with other top British Superbike riders too. When you do what you love, it really doesn't feel like you're working. Although I had visited Scotland once before for one of my corporate clients on a photography project, I've never had the opportunity to ride there, which is something I've always wanted to do. I didn't want my trip to just be a riding holiday, and where possible I wanted to explore on foot. Walking to the top of Ben Ann in my motorcycle boots is something I'll never forget. I also wanted to capture a selection of the shots of me with my bike and clothing for Hideout, which they could use for their marketing, social media and new website. From the moment I left home on a long haul from Essex to Scotland, the entire trip was incredible. Hours of GoPro footage as I travelled across Scotland trying to stick to my well-planned itinerary. It's very difficult, almost impossible for me to say which locations were my favourite, quite honestly. It was the combination of each day, the people I met and stayed with, the views and the riding, which made the whole experience incredible. Now I don't really do languages or pronunciations, so please excuse my very bad attempt at Gaelic. Visiting Glen Coe and Glen Etive was without doubt one of my favourite locations. They are both absolutely stunning. As I rode towards Glen Coe, I was on the lookout for a Tevmore waterfall. Fortunately for me, I bumped into another photographer who knew exactly where it was. But before I went to visit the falls, I wanted to ride along the glen. I actually stopped off the main road to take a few shots and was asked by another tourist driving by if I knew the location where they filmed James Bond's Skyfall. I'm sorry, I had to say, I have no idea. It wasn't until I returned home I found out it just so happens I was standing in exactly the same location where one of the scenes with Bond and his Aston Martin was filmed. I'm pleased to say I still have a good art director's eye. That afternoon I parked my bike and after a little chocolate fix I went exploring around the Etive waterfall. I took this shot with my camera mounted on my Manfrotto tripod. I had 10 seconds using the camera timer to run across the rocks and get into position. I absolutely love being able to have the time to admire the view and breathe in the fresh air. I really would love to visit here again, but next time take my walking boots and go exploring just a little bit further. That evening, while I was sat eating dinner, I noticed how quickly the light was changing. So I quickly finished up my food, jumped back on my bike and rode out of the town along the A82 to capture this dramatic sunset. The next day was light rain, but it didn't dampen my spirit, neither did it actually penetrate my waterproofs. I visited the Ben Nevis Centre and was told by one of the staff, who also rides, to continue along the road, the C1162. Although it's a dead end, it was well worth a little detour. I then made my way to the A830 to Glen Etive and on to Bealach, where I decided to hop on the ferry to the Isle of Skye and follow the road across the Skye Bridge to the Isle of Lochalsh. I really love this area of Scotland around Dona. I was very excited to visit Eileen Castle. My hosts that evening, Keith and Beverly, really went out their way to make me comfortable in their beautiful home, which had stunning views all around them. This was also just a short ride from the Pass of the Cattle, Bealach, which I had seen images of, and for me was one of the must-go-to places I wanted to visit. The next morning I was taking it easy at the castle as it was my rest day, and I overheard other bikers say they had just come from the Pass of the Cattle and the weather was incredible, blue skies and perfect conditions. I couldn't resist the urge to get on my bike and go visit. Although I'd only had one day of light rain so far during my trip, you never can tell in Scotland what the weather would do, and the following day may be wet and misty, so off I went. It is jaw-dropping from the moment you ride in on the A896, which alone is an incredible road, with long sweeping fast turns, to your first glance at the pass, which again looks like it should be in Lord of the Rings. This part of Scotland is breathtaking. If you're a motorcyclist and you have never been to Scotland, then you are missing out. I approached Bealach with caution, as I'd heard the road is not for the faint-hearted. I'm sure you can see why. I took my time, and as I rode through this historic pass which cuts through the mountain, I actually found it easier to ride along than I had imagined. After riding all the way to the viewpoint, I turned around and parked so I could capture images of my bike in this incredible landscape. I couldn't wait to return here again the following day, but what I didn't realise then was that I was very nearly going to kick the bucket on this, my bucket list trip to Scotland.